What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, I have Aysleth Zeledon. Hey, that's a pretty cool name, isn't it? Oh, have you heard of her? Oh, that's right. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know you've heard a little bit about Aysleth Zeledon's story. But you're going to find out what she's up to right now. You know, what's going on in the world of Aysleth Zeledon. Stick around the next few minutes. This week's shows, I have two public shows here in the Central Arkansas area. My regular Friday night gig at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. That's right, karaoke. You're the stars of the show. They got a full bar, the kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. And then on Saturday, it's been a long time since I've been at the Choctaw VFW in Choctaw, Arkansas. So excited. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. They got pool tables as well, full bar. I don't know. Do they have snacks? Maybe. Sometimes they got some snacks in there. They got a big room, though. I got a big stage for you to join me on and a big room for dancing. It's just a club that's ready to get down and boogie, have some good times at the Choctaw VFW Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Once again, you're the stars of the show. You pick it, I play it, you sing it, you're the star. It's cool. I'm so glad I get to be with the people. It's rare when I get a public show on Saturday night. Usually I'm doing weddings and stuff. But yeah, good to be back at the Choctaw VFW on Saturday night, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. That's it for this intro. Let's get into it with Aysleth Zeledon. I got her on Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Skyping Aysleth Zeledon now. All right. Okay.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me turn it this way.
Are you camera ready?
Sorry.
Is that what we're doing?
It's the summer, so I was like, I have a sunburn. That's okay. That's life.
Well, there she is. Aysleth Zeledon, the Sachy Ice Queen herself. What's happening?
Hi.
Hello. Well, we're here catching up.
How are you doing?
Yeah, people that listen to this podcast know all about you. You know, you've told quite a bit of your story on this. This is kind of a catch up, find out what's going on these days in the world of the Ice Queen, the Sachy Ice Queen, the Aysleth, the Zeledon. There's so much to you. I mean, give the people an overview. What's happening in the world of Aysleth?
So right now we're getting started, and I literally just locked in one of the internships for the summer. My nonprofit's called Learning Idiom, where we break language barriers and culture barriers by perfecting people's English and Spanish. And so I just locked in a social media intern for the summer. And so I was so excited to lock one of them in because we had a few that were interested, but we had to make sure that they were going to come and really be committed. And so we asked for their schedule and see if they aligned with our schedules and stuff. So because it's a virtual vocational academy, literally anybody in the United States or even the world could apply. But we chose someone local because just in case we had to have any kind of document signed, it would just be easier. We can always e-sign, but why not promote and support the local community. So
Well, you're starting locally and then thinking globally. And so this is where it starts with a spark, with a, I have the background video for the people that are listening to the audio version of this. Check out the video version of this. I picked for the background video butterflies because it's a metamorphosis. It's a thing that starts as one thing and metamorphosizes into another thing. Arguably, it's all right for the and I don't like to say that things might be ugly to beautiful, but something that is less than efficient to something that can float like a butterfly. You hear a lot about float like a butterfly. You don't hear a lot about float like a caterpillar. But it's a caterpillar that becomes a butterfly, and it represents the changes that we go through.
Sorry, I've never.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard someone say "float like a butterfly."
Float like a butterfly.
Sounds so cool. Like floating, like Arkansas Buffalo River floating. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I'd like to say that I made it up myself, but there was a man named Muhammad Ali who used to say
boxer.
He floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee. Pow! He is the
My
great.
mom probably would have known that then, because that's her favorite sport to watch, which is very ironic because she's an ordained minister and extremely nonviolent. So for her to her favorite sport to be boxing, I was like, what? That's your favorite, Mom? I didn't know that. I wouldn't have ever thought that, but
I mean,
apparently she likes boxing.
For me, as an amateur pugilist, and that's another name for a boxer. If you sometimes they call them pugs. Hey, pug, what you doing, pug? You gonna hit me, pug? That's a pugilist, short for pugilist, which just means a boxer, and it's a release of energy. If wars could be fought. All right. And I know that there's war all over the world. At any given time, somebody's fighting with somebody. It's the way the humans are. Okay. But if wars can be fought by two people, maybe like the gladiators, like their two best boxers, if they fight and the war is over, okay, whoever wins out of that battle, all right, the other guy takes all your land and all your riches, and you got to agree to that. Is that something that could possibly happen, can work?
Well, as a spiritual life coach and therapeutic life coach, I've come to realize that a lot of people have a mental battle in their mind, and they are their own worst critic and they are their own enemy. And so when it comes to, any kind of war, any kind of disagreement, there's always two sides, even whenever you're thinking something. So a lot of the times, and I tell my clients, you have to unlearn bad habits and unlearn words that were spoken over you, that you say over yourself, that you say about other people because you're coming out of your mouth. You have to unlearn certain things and learn positive affirmations. And it's not just about being in a positive atmosphere. It's about, or being in a positive mood. It's about literally changing your language and your inner language. And it literally changes your life. I used to not really believe in, I was one of those critics. I'd be like, nah, positive affirmations wouldn't work on me. And now I'm like, man, they really do work. But if you are intentionally trying to change, then of course it's going to work. But if you're just saying it just to say it, then you're just a robot, and you're not going to change anything.
Well, I just read something yesterday, and it kind of I've read it before and I've read it again. If people have the choice, they will choose peace every time. Okay, and for the most part, I believe that is true. But some people aren't given a choice. It's a warlike. And is it mostly men? Do you think if you being a company that is run by women, okay?
Yes. Women-owned, Latina-owned.
Yes.
We love doing collaborations like yourself with this, with other men, but we are a nonprofit women-based and also Latina-based. And I did it for a reason, because I wanted to share our culture and the women side of our culture, and also introduce and highlight other men. But at the same time, I wanted to solidify that niche. And so if you're not in the business world, niche literally means just your market. So basically we're like mom coaches. So that's the reason why I did it that way. because we do parenting summits, we translate, we interpret, because there is a difference, you know, and so it's pretty amazing when you kind of focus on what was painful in your life and you turn it into your purpose. And I think, you know, you're talking about butterflies. A lot of the times when you're in that cocoon, you're just sitting there kind of changing or waiting, or just, you know, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting until you bloom, until you can spread your wings. You know, that's something that a lot of people don't really have that endurance to wait in that season. And so I always tell my clients, patience is the hardest thing when it comes to anything financial, when it comes to anything relational, because one of the things that Learning Idiom does, and we're about to start having date nights and speed dating here in Conway. And it's going to be a different type of experience. This is going to be kind of like fundraising. We're going to have 10, you know, people, men, 5 women, 5 men, and they're going to do speed dating. And we're going to blindfold them because we want them to not have to rely on what society considers beautiful and just hear their voice. And if whatever number that they vibed with, they spend the 2 hours with them. So it was something that me and Claudia created. Shout out Claudia Fountain, because she's my business partner and we're always bouncing off ideas, finding ways to fundraise to be able to do these like summer internships and not have to rely on charging people, because that's, you know, even though we're a nonprofit, I also have a limited liability company. And I do a lot of things in my limited liability company. You know, we get people published. Last year we published 4 authors. No, not 4 authors, 4 books. We did 1 co-author book. And that one had 6 people. So it was amazing to be in the publishing industry and be able to give that platform for people, because I always tell people, you can be a book, you can be an author, but not know how to be a successful author. You don't make money with your book. You might, but you make money through your book, because it creates a platform and a niche for you to be able to be on stage and become a public speaker and go to in-person or virtual events. You know, shout out to Uwem. She is a Nigerian queen. You know, she literally is I don't know if you've ever heard of John Maxwell, but he's a big leadership person in the business world and also in the Christian community as well. And so he focuses and writes a lot of books on leadership. And so she invited me to one of her, it was like, I think it was called Child Abuse, the Parent's Role. And so because I'm a teacher, virtual, and I'm also a substitute teacher, I got to talk about child abuse and how to prevent it. My son is a level 2 autistic person. And so every time that he has to have, you know, new therapists, they always ask him, you know, has anything traumatic happened in your life? Thank God he always says no. And they ask me the same thing. And I always say, not that I know of. And I don't have anybody but to thank God for that, because I pray for him every day. Mm-hmm. I cover him with the blood of Jesus. And I'm just thankful for that, because there is nothing, in my opinion and in my beliefs, that's stronger than that.
So much to unpack there, Aysleth. You talked first off about the caterpillar turning into a butterfly. I have wondered if when the butterfly goes into the larval stage, into the cocoon, into the chrysalis, are they thinking about anything, or are they just, you know, like I can liken it to a teenager contemplating life. Where's the future? You've had your upbringing. You've learned your reading, writing, and arithmetic. Am I going to go to college? Am I going to go straight to the workforce? This is kind of the chrysalis version of the human being. Does the butterfly actually think when they're in that larval stage, or is it just sitting and waiting? And I noticed there's a lot of children that are on their computers, on their video games, on their various social medias, thinking, well, you know, if I get a like, is that going to help me in the future? You know, is that what's going to, you know, the goal for a lot of kids would be to do exactly what we're doing right now, make a lot of money by putting out some content online and not having to get up out of their chairs and maybe have a corner of their room in their house, in their apartment, devoted to that, and never have to go out in the outside world and have any interactions with real people ever. That's a thought that I've had, and it kind of came out when you were talking. But then you also said, you're women owned. If women ruled the world, would there be less wars? Contemplate that. Something to keep in your head.
Probably not.
Well, there would not be less wars. Okay. Well, and then you also
I don't know, because I've known a lot of vengeful women, a lot of people, and you said a little while ago that a lot of people they want peace. I know a lot of people that don't want peace. They want to fight. Like they want to express their stress through violence. I don't condone that, but I've seen it. I've seen it in, a lot of places. I'm a preacher's kid, and it definitely, I heard a lot of stuff. I haven't seen a lot of fights, but I definitely heard, oh, so-and-so got in this fight, and I'm like, when you're a teen, when you're a preteen, you're going through so many hormones and so many changes that you don't know how to deal with the stress. And let me give you a tip for everyone that's out there. Just breathe. Take a deep breath. And, since I work, and I'm a substitute, we do breathing exercises because I work at a Christian preschool, and I'm a substitute there. And so we do breathing exercises with the kids because a lot of the times the lack of oxygen doesn't let you think very clearly. It's the same concept of when you're drunk, or you're hungover. When you're hungover, the reason why you're hungover is because your brain doesn't have enough oxygen. And so that your brain needs oxygen. And the easiest way to do that is just to breathe. Breathe, guys. Just breathe.
Aysleth, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Women rule the world, okay? All right. And I think it might be for the linear thinking of a man or the circular thinking of a woman. Let me explain. When you send a man out window shopping, he will come home with a window. Okay? You send a woman out shopping, she's going to say, what am I have to wear? What purse am I going to carry? How am I going to dress? What car am I taking? Is there fuel in the car? Do I have so many different things before they even get out the door to go to that shopping spree? Do I have money in my pocket? Do I need money? Am I just going to go window shopping and get things on my wish list? Do I, if I wear the pink lipstick, I look this way, but if I wear the red lipstick, I'm going to get looks from that way. Maybe I shouldn't wear lipstick at all. No, I'm going to go natural. But then I'm going to get judged by other people. And it's so circular. If you send me out to go get a hammer, I'm coming back with a hammer. And that's it. Done. Mm-hmm. I'm not even thinking about anything else. Do you think that women rule? I think women rule the world because they do tell us what to do, and we do listen. You have the power.
Well, I will say this. For every one man, statistically proven, there's 7 women. And for every woman, the national average of a woman speaking is about 3,000 words a day. And that's just the average. For the man, it's about 1,500. So any women out there, really, really notice what you're speaking, what you are speaking to yourself, what you're speaking to other people, because you actually literally hold power in your tongue. And so, you mentioned, a lot of materialistic things of when you go shopping, but let me tell you, and let me speak to your audience. All of those things don't buy you happiness. All of those things don't matter. What you need to carry and what you need to put on every single day is grace, love, peace, humility. Those are things that when you carry those things and the way that you carry yourself that way, you don't really feel the need to impress anybody because you already are complete within yourself and you know your self-worth and you know who you are and whose you are. And so, I like shopping just like any other girl. I just I celebrated 20 years with Eva Rivas Gutierrez. Yes, she's married now. I celebrated 20 years of being she was one of the first friends I had here in Arkansas because I'm originally from California. And so we did retail therapy because I needed shoes. And so was a lot of fun, a mom little getaway trip, and so even if it was just for 3 or 4 hours, we'll take it,
Well,
So it was a lot of fun.
I want to attempt to lure some of the free stuff heading your way. Where did you shop, and what kind of shoes did you get?
So I got sandals, black sandals, kind of, because I call them Jesus sandals. I had white ones, and so I needed black ones, and then I also got another white one, but it was in not one that it's just a slip on. And so we would definitely went and got that accomplished, because it takes a while. I mean, it takes a while when it comes to shoes and women, I'm sure we could spend there for hours, just looking at all the shoes.
It's so amazing that you said sandals. Sandals is such a staple in the Latin world. I know, being from the Florida Keys, in Key West, there is one place that my whole family went to, and I'm sure we're not the only ones, but they're handmade sandals at a company called Kino, Kino, and they're handmade, only place in the whole wide world. It's Cubans that came over from Cuba, obviously, to Key West, 90 miles. And they started the shoe company, and Kino sandals, they will last forever. You can walk in salt water, and it's hard to break them. It's hard to get them to break. But sandals, it's an easy thing to slip on, get out the door, go do a little something, and then come back in. Sandals, that's a description of a certain type of lifestyle. You don't have time to put a full shoe on. Tell me about why sandals.
Because it's the summer and I only had one pair, and I work on my feet a lot, and so I needed really comfortable ones. As a mom, as a substitute teacher, as a mompreneur, I'm on my feet a lot, and so I literally have foot masks because, of course, self-care, ladies, self-care. I do have face masks, but I don't use them as much as my foot masks because, I like to take care of my feet. And, that's something that when I told somebody, hey, what do you, how do you do self-care? And I'm like, foot masks. And they're like, what is that? And I'm like, you should look into it. Definitely do it.
No, I want you to explain, because today, I'm talking to one of my male friends, Aaron. And, we walk a lot.
That's my son's middle name.
My day job is where I walk constantly, and my feet hurt. And if I don't clip my toenails, it's rough, because the toenails will hit into the shoe and they cause havoc on your feet. But, and I asked him, does he ever get a pedicure? And he said, oh yeah. But I was working with Wes Moore on the radio down in Little Rock, and Pat Bradley, and Wes Moore mentioned, that he had his toenails done. He went and got a pedicure, and Pat Bradley, being the manly man that he is, just gave him all kinds of havoc for being a man going to get a pedicure. But it helps his golf game, and I believe if I went and got a pedicure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and tell me about this foot mask, I got to know.
So the foot mask, I just ordered it online.
What is it?
It just literally has like some kind of lotion inside of it. I'm sure you can do one like homemade if you're like that. Basically, I think it was probably like coconut oil, because I could smell it, coconut. And then it had maybe some salts in it. And I just wore them the whole day. And I am Jewish. And so the day of rest for us is very important. And so when I say the day of rest, I do not leave my apartment or my proximity of my apartment, because I rent my house out, and thank God that I do, because I can live here in Conway. And so I'm just excited that I live here now, and I don't live over there, because no, nothing against Russellville, but Conway's like a whole other ball game. I think it's a mix of both worlds of how I grew up, and so I feel more at home here because I'm originally from literally 40 minutes from LA, but I lived in Russell like 15, 16 years. And so it's like a good mix of both city life and country life.
It
so
is.
I feel very much at home.
Well, I mean, I talked about Russellville just a couple of days ago. It's laid out very well. ABCs, 1, 2, 3, cities west of the Mississippi, east of the Mississippi. The city planning on that city was done very well. We might have mentioned that last time we were on this thing, but I think Russellville, very small, has just the amenities. They got a Walmart, they got a grocery store. So
I mean,
they got everything you need.
If they're going to have a casino there, I'm not going to sell my house. I'm just going to raise rent.
Ah. See, that's capitalism.
That's just the real estate consultant in me. And I'm like, I'm a consultant right now.
Capitalism.
I work with Eagle Rock Property Management and realty and property management. So shout out to Zach and Justin, amazing brokers.
Yeah, so you moved over.
Awesome.
Okay. When I knew you were at a different location. But this is what we do. We find the things that are the best fit. I know that there was another lady that moved over to Eagle Rock as well. Haley, that's right. And she's an artist as well. We're never just one thing. If I look at your LinkedIn, really right on the top, it says podcaster, real estate consultant, author, speaker, philanthropist, believer. We're not just one thing. And you're being from California and me being from Miami, East Coast, West Coast, baby. But both, near the water, near the ocean, the healing powers of the ocean. I miss it so much. I think I'm drying up here in the center of the in the middle of the country. I need to get.
I'm a poet, so I got a snack because I love the ocean. I love the ocean waves. That's why I go to the pool as much as I can, and that's why you see me all red, because we have a little water thing that it reminds me of the wave sounds. And so I go over there even just to lay down, and I'm just like, oh, I miss the waves, like the sound of the waves. Because I did not learn how to swim by an instructor. I learned how to swim while the waves were trying to drown me.
Oh, yeah.
People nowadays, they're like, oh, we got to teach our kids. We have to and I mean, of course, if you're very concerned about your kid, drowning, of course, get an instructor. Us Latinos folks, we're just like, we're just going to push you in the river. You just got to figure it out. Come on.
I mentioned the Florida Keys. I think halfway to Cuba, somewhere near the Cayman Islands, my mom threw me off the boat into the ocean. And my grandma, of course, is going, oh, here, get him a ski belt. That was the whole thing. If the kids wanted to go in the water, we had to wear a ski belt, which, by the way, is not a great flotation device, as far as keeping a kid above water. It's a belt that has a flotation here, but yeah, you could float upside down with your legs straight up out of the water. So I'm
trying to teach my son how to swim, and I just so I'm trying to teach him. And so I told them the easiest way for me to teach you first is to teach you how to float, because at least you'll get rid of the fear of that you're going to drown. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to have him relax, but because he's a level 2 autistic, he does not relax like other people. Even when we were talking about sandals, he will not wear Crocs because of the sensory issues of his feet and the sensory issues that they don't feel, the little pins and whatever. He will not wear any kind of Crocs, but if it's just plain, he will. So being a special needs mom, shout out to all of the special needs mom. I feel for you. We have a community here in Arkansas, Community Connections, where you can have respite care. They have activities and they're all free. It's a nonprofit. And it's in Little Rock, Conway, and Russellville. And so if you're in any of those areas, definitely reach out, communityconnections.org. And they will definitely get you on their newsletter. And they have amazing programs, anywhere from learning karate to, art programs, which is the one that my son's in, because he's also an author and an artist. So even though he's a level 2 autistic, I didn't want him to use that as a crutch. So I'm like, you're just going to be an author. And then that way, when you grow up, you're not going to be able to use that. You're an author. They're going to, so I'm like, he literally wrote So in 2 to 3 days, he wrote, and he like instead of playing, he was just typing away last summer. And I'm like, well, he got it done, and I just edited it. So
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. That's good. But I like having you on the podcast. This is great because this is probably the most local to where I'm living podcast. Yeah, we could have been in the same studio, but I like doing it this way because it fits real nice into my broadcast software when I do it on Skype. And also, it's more convenient for the person that I'm podcasting with. This way, I don't have to drive to you. You don't have to drive to me. We get audio, we get video, and people find out a little bit more about what life is in Central Arkansas. But it will resonate on a global scale. Now, I want to go back to women ruling the world. I remember when I was a little kid. All right, and say one boy would hit another boy, and who would they go get? Are they getting their dad? No, they're getting their mom. Why?
yeah.
Why? He's getting his mom. I don't care if they have rifles and machine guns. No, he's getting his mom. Run, go the other way. What is it about the fear of mom and my mom, my 72-year-old mom? Hey, and for those fellas, the reason I don't know her age, always remember her birthday, but forget her age. That goes for every woman. But, I think about it. I still have fear that a chancleta is going to be flying my way if I'm doing something wrong. So I don't do something wrong.
Para mí no era una chancleta. Para mí era una faja. It was a belt.
Okay. All right. See?
For me, it was a belt.
There's different Latinos, different Latin. I don't even like using Latinx. It's different Latins, different Latin countries have different slangs. And for me, it's a cinto is a belt. And you said faja?
I said una faja, cinturón, cinto, lucha. Like there's just a lot of names.
For a belt, because that thing's going to be going.
Belt.
Yeah, it's going to be. When things have importance, there are lots of names for them. I've heard that in Alaska, there are hundreds of words for snow. So I think it's probably in the same proximity.
That's my son, by the way.
Well, that's good. That's real life. You have a child that's out there running loose, probably has no adult supervision right now, and you're trying to get the news of what Aysleth Zeledon and the learning idiom is all about.
I always give him two options because sometimes he does want to go to his room and I give him his space. Sometimes he wants to be nosy like most kids and be involved. And so I involve him. And I just always tell people he communicates in different ways. Yelling is one. Making those sounds that you just heard is one. He just did it again. So he does those sounds like when he's excited, when he's usually on his game, or he's usually excited about something or worried about something, kind of like automatopoeias in Spanish, like, uy, he just kind of squeals.
Yeah. Well, one of the most embarrassing things for a parent is for a child to act up in the middle of a public space. Say, the best beatings that I ever got were at the grocery store. But let me tell you, most of the other people that are there are probably parents. So we all understand. We don't care. Don't be embarrassed. If you got to give a little spank on the hiney or on the leg, what have you, we don't care. We understand. That's just my thinking. Okay, I can't say we. I understand. If your child is acting up, if they're laying on the middle of the aisle and just throwing a tantrum,
that's what the bathroom's for, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, do what you have to do. Pick them up by the wrist, pick them up and take them out of the situation. But don't be embarrassed. Never be embarrassed because that child is just acting up. They're just trying to spread their wings, their butterfly wings, get that space. See how far I can push mom.
Sometimes they're just testing their boundaries.
How far I can push mom.
A lot of kids do that. A lot of kids, they test their boundaries. They, you give them, in Spanish, there's that saying, te doy un dedo, me agarras mi brazo. I'll give you, if I give you a finger, like or a hand, you'll take my arm. So
Well, I remember
the
it
same.
was, they would be crying, and my grandmother was really good about this. She would say, "Oh, he won't remember by the time he gets married. It's a fleeting thing. That little tantrum, it's gonna be gone, and it'll be a distant memory if he remembers it at all, ever."
Well, I will tell you this. I've done a lot of conscious discipline training, and the reason why you give kids two options is so that you don't limit their mental state. And you give them two options, not to negotiate, but for them to constantly be making a good choice or a bad choice, or that they're making a choice. And so you promote them making a choice instead of just doing it and then they're like, oh, why? And then they grow up actually to become more rebellious because they don't know why. I don't know, they just did it because their parents did it. I know, some kids are obedient and they'll do it, but at the end of the day, they're gonna test their boundaries when they're grown up, and I don't think you want that.
Well, that's what the preacher's kid is all about, because the preacher has been instilling, especially I grew up Catholic, if you don't do this, you're going to get spanked by God. If you don't walk down this path, you're going to be smited. And that, that kind of parenting, the son of the preacher man, the daughter of the preacher man is the one that's going to break loose, rebel, stay out all night, do things they probably shouldn't do. And you say your mom has the outlet of watching boxing. That's better than the alternative of actually hitting, or taking a violent action herself. That's the reason.
Yeah, well, my mom doesn't really watch it all that often,
Right.
but she does. That's her favorite sport to watch.
Yeah.
And so when I found that out, I was like, wow, Mom, I guess I didn't know you as much as I knew. But I mean, well, I was the youngest of 6. So even though I'm a preacher's kid, my mom will say that I was probably the most obedient because I saw my siblings get spanked so much. So I was like, I can't do that because I'm going to get spanked. If I do that, I might get spanked. I can run a risk, So I did a lot of self-analyzing before. And so I think it kind of, helped me in my adult life, because I was like, analyzing their mistakes. Then they would talk to me about credit. They would talk to me about owning a house and how they couldn't because their credit was all messed up. They would talk about all those stuff to me. And so, when you go to get a car, it's cheaper if the insurance agent has the full coverage than, when you buy it right there. The salesman is going to try to sell you for that, gap insurance, because that's how they get most of their commission. But, there's just certain things that if you don't have those conversations with your siblings, with your parents, you don't know a lot of things. So how are you going to own a house? How are you going to own property? How are you going to invest in property if you don't know any of those things? So that's the reason why I created Learning Idiom, is because we wanted to not only help people with their language, but in the professional world as well. And I'm just glad that I have Claudia Fountain and Eva and Itzel. Shout out Itzel. She is the only one on our board right now that isn't a mother. So she has a little bit more time than all of us to network and do a lot of things. She's involved in a lot of nonprofits, like Coho and a lot of the nonprofits that Dr. Philip Fletcher is a part of, Hope Village and all of them. So I'm just excited that we have this community here that we're also embracing and helping, as well as globally, because we actually started globally and now we're a little bit more local. We're doing more local events, in-person events, because I originally started this nonprofit because I love to travel and I wanted to, at the same time, just travel, do what I love, which is teach. And so I wanted that, tax purposes vacation where I could teach virtually anywhere. And so I started it globally instead of locally. And now we're just doing the internships locally because we want to support and help the local community.
Well, it's fantastic. You can use this internet for good or evil, and you can use it for good. I'm glad that you found something that helps the people rather than harms. But you're talking about learning from the mistakes of others. You learn from your siblings what they did. You took what they did right, what they did wrong, and you made your own judgments, your own decisions based on that. Learn from the mistakes of others is something that I've lived lived using that saying for forever. I think it's attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but so many things are attributed to Abraham Lincoln. Like, don't believe everything you hear on the internet. Abraham Lincoln.
He was also known as being Honest Abe. So for anybody that does not listen to this whole thing and does not, maybe you don't understand, listen to the word honesty. It goes a long way. When you are honest about something and you don't lie about something, one lie can lead to another lie, can lead to another lie, and your whole life is a lie. And then you have so much you don't know who you are because you lie all the time.
Yeah.
I've met people like that, and I'm like, wow, this is insane. This is a different type of person. So, honesty to me is something that, comes so naturally to me, but probably not for a lot of people because, it comes down to when you get in trouble. Are you going to lie about it or are you going to own up to it? Are you going to own up to your bad choices or are you going to lie about it and try to blame it on someone else? And so, I had to, since I mean, everyone lies. Everyone's been a kid. So it's something that from a small age, people learn how to lie so easily that you have to kick that bad habit. And if you haven't kicked that bad habit, then I'm sure you probably have a lot of relational problems. And I'm sorry about that, but it's your fault.
Yeah, a lot of kids lie to get out of that faja and that cinto. Trying to get out of trouble. And I've another great saying: if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. If you lie, you have to remember. Oh, I told that lie to Aysleth, and then I told this lie to Claudia, and then I told that lie. Oh my goodness, Bate! I gotta put the lies together and try to formulate a way to get them to mesh. No, I got to keep these two people apart so the lies don't melt. No, tell the truth. I'm a terrible liar. Sometimes
La verdad. That's a Spanish word. The truth.
Sometimes I've tried to get out of trouble. Even now, I go, I didn't do. Nah, I can't. It's like instantly I have to tell the truth. If I told a lie, I'd be, nah, that's not true. I did it. It was all me. It was my fault. I'm a terrible liar. And don't.
Well, I've heard that Latinos are really bad liars. This is what I've heard from other people. And I think it's because we have really good facial expressions. And so I feel like sometimes if we say a lie, it will show on our face. And if you can notice those things, they can know that you're lying to them. I knew, with the, I have a book coming out in the summer, at the end of the summer. I'm getting divorced. And so it's, I knew exactly when my husband was lying to me, and because I could tell, I knew him well enough to know, and so that's something that, I picked up on. A lot of people don't have that sixth sense or whatever, but, most women are a little bit more intuitive, going back to Women Rule the World or whatever. We do have a little bit more of a sense, in the Bible, God put the Holy Spirit in Adam and then created the woman. And so I feel like if you go to churches, if you go to church, there's more women because, of course there are more women in the world, but I think men don't have that. It's harder for them to not necessarily hear from God, but it's easier for women, in my opinion, because of that, history. So it's just easier.
Let's break that down. Since religion does play a big part of your life, and it did, there was a time that I was a zealot. I was so about the word. So, I read the Bible many times, at least 5 fully, and then several pieces of it afterwards. I know the Bible pretty well. I couldn't tell you, chapter and verse, but I know if it's in there, if it's not in there. But then I can't tell you for sure whether there is a God or there isn't. Is there an invisible man that is protecting us always and is ready to smite us if we get out of line? Is that the way it is? I mean, I think that if there was, is it space aliens? Is it spaghetti monsters? There's so many different theories of where this God came from, or was it men just trying to keep their tribes in line, giving them a set of rules?
A lot of people think that, a lot of people, they think because the Bible was man-made, that they created this set of rules for people. But I think when it comes down to religion, I don't consider myself a religious person. I consider myself a spiritual person, because if you don't have a relationship with who you call God, whether that be Allah, whether that be Messiah, whether that be Yeshua, whether that be Jesus, whether that be, what do you consider God? Your phone can be a God to you. Your work can be a God to you. Your family can be a God to you. Your child can be your God. It's something that a lot of people don't really think about. What is God to them, and who is that? And so when it comes to spirituality, everyone has their own theory, because everyone is created different, and even though I am Jewish, I attend a Christian church. I don't practice Judaism, but I know a lot of the Christian, like the customs. I know a little bit of Hebrew. I have one song that I have performed, and it's a Hebrew song, and it brings me a lot of peace, and it's blessed be the one that comes in the name of the Lord in Hebrew. And so that's the only one that if I sing, and if I'm asked to sing, that's the only song that I allow myself to sing, because I sang for 7 years. Now I just do spoken word and public speak. But singing, I haven't done it in a while, and I'm out of practice. So it's like,
I believe that many of us do have a God-shaped hole that needs to be filled, whether it actually gets filled with God, with a going to church, a gathering of fellowship of people, or it does get filled with something else. What do you fill your God-shaped hole with? With your family, with your friends, with service to the community. All these things can fill those spaces with work, with doing a good job. All these things can give you purpose in life. And what all the things that I've mentioned, all the things that you've mentioned, do they gel together to help you, or is there any conflict with what you do secularly as opposed to what you do if you go to church every week, right?
So for the longest time, because I was raised in a certain way, when it came to music, we weren't allowed to listen to secular music. And so whenever I started listening to secular music, I was like, I don't see anything wrong with this. But when I noticed myself thinking differently because of the words that were coming out of that secular music, that's when I was like, that's why my parents would say that. But I didn't realize that until now. So, for, like I said, women have, and even men, the power is in your tongue, like that's what the Bible says, life or death is in the power of the tongue. And so you just have to really understand what they're saying. Like a lot of rap music, or even if it's in a different language, kind of understand what they're speaking to you, because, everyone accepts something, or, like you were talking about the whole, you fill yourself with whatever you want to be filled with, whether that be something that, you just need, instant, gratification. We talked about social media, if you feel like you need those likes, maybe you need to look in the mirror and you have to, just really kind of analyze, why do you want that like? Why do you need that like? If it's for business purposes, let me know, because I can tell you how or why, why you would need that. Because I am a business person. I literally have like 4 Instagram pages because I have way too many things that are going on. And I'm a big organized person. If you guys are on YouTube, you guys can see, my calendar, it is dry erase because life happens. And so I'm a big planner. When it comes to being Latina, that is something that is strange because a lot of Latinos do not plan anything. They just show up. Hey, we're here. Let's get the party started. And so whenever I tell my mom, no, you can't come today because I have plans, she's like, oh, now she's kind of used to it. But I've had to like slowly tell her, I don't have time for you today. I'm sorry, mom, but tomorrow you can have the whole day or we can talk, I can be on the phone. So like when it comes to certain things and certain parts of your life, you just have to find some kind of balance, some kind of organization. I talked about, the day of rest and self-care. That is something that if I didn't do that for myself, it would reflect poorly on my son, on me, and my business and everything that I am part of because I am not taking care of my temple. I'm not taking care of my needs. And so for anybody that needs help with that balance, again, I am a spiritual life coach and a therapeutic art coach. So if you think you might have some trauma or you don't, I will figure it out and I will definitely know because I can tell.
Well, I mean, I'm finding more and more every day that people are all the same and we're all different. I don't even know how we are able to live on this crazy planet of ours, because if you talk in generalizations, Latins are this, Mexicans are that, white people are that, it's not. We're never just one thing. There's always, and I know that politically they use this as voting blocks. Oh, we got to get the Latin vote. Oh, we got to get the Southern vote. Oh, we got to get the Arkansas vote. We're not one thing. I don't know how we can have two parties, even Republicans and Democrats and liberals and conservatives. How can we have just two parties? It should be a committee of about 100 people trying to represent millions of people. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I
love that you said politics because I just recently I was Get Loud Arkansas. Shout out to Julie McDonald. She's in Get Loud Arkansas, registering people to vote. I got to meet Senator Joyce Elliott and Representative Jamie Scott last weekend in the Juneteenth event. So all the Black community, happy Juneteenth. It was this week, and so I'm so glad that I got to embrace the Black community and got to support them and be part of their events and literally see their culture. It was such a cool experience because it's not my culture, but I love seeing people's culture, and just to see it, it was so cool. And to be a model, that was like, wow, that was the first time I stepped out of my comfort zone. I got to pet a snake for the first time. I am terrified of snakes. So I overcame my fear of snakes and stepped out of my comfort zone in modeling because I've always had a microphone when I'm on stage, not just walking and posing. That was such a different experience, but I enjoyed it. Sanisha Davis, she's the one who did the Juneteenth event here in Conway. It was the first one. And so she organized that whole thing and she did an amazing job. We had a fashion show. They had guest speakers. They had music artists, they had vendors there, and it was all outside, and people actually stayed because of the heat. I was surprised. I was like, wow, people are having a good time, and I was having a good time too. I didn't care that it was like really, really hot, but it was such a good time, and I was so proud of everyone that they did. Like everyone did it was so cool, and I was also I was proud of myself too because I was like, I got to pet a snake. I am terrified of snakes. And I'm like, whoa. So I surprised myself and I was like, it's not that bad when you overcome a fear, I guess I like to push my limits. And that was something that was like, okay, 2 fingers, I touched it. That counts. So I'm like, okay. And then so I was just asking, and it was a little girl too. The little girl had the snake and I was like, wow, this little girl has a snake and I'm just over here just terrified of it. So it kind of pushed me to like, if she can do it, I can do it. And it's a child. So I'm like, wow, you can learn a lot from kids if you allow them to teach you.
Well, I was mentioning even today. Today was a pretty productive day for me, as I said to the same person, Aaron, that if a kid tells you you're fat, you're fat. They're very truthful. Okay, so
They're brutally honest.
absolutely. But you're talking about. I'm from Miami, the Florida Keys. So many different types of people, so many different types of culture, and I worry that I'm a dinosaur. Okay, but I have a 16-year-old daughter. I wonder what she's growing up into. PC culture. I listen to the news. I listen to NPR and 102.1, and I'll there. Well, I think NPR even more. They're trying to describe someone as black or white or brown, or they were Asian, they were Latino, they are so avoiding the word. I remember growing up as a kid, we noticed our differences and celebrated them. I had the Muslim kid. Oh, you eat this kind of food? Oh, you got to pray that many times? Oh,
Kabbalah.
yeah.
Yeah. They make amazing rice. They put lemon on it. It's delicious.
And you're funny that you mentioned, I told you I grew up Catholic. I find out my grandfather is of Jewish descent. I never got bar mitzvah or anything, but he always had a Star of David on his chest. And I did learn a little bit of how to read the Bible in Hebrew as well. Yod Heh and Elohim and all the greats, all the big words that are eluding me right now. But we have to celebrate our differences. And I was growing up. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. It was men and women, and some of the men like to dress up like girls. Some of the girls like to dress up like women. But that was pretty much it. There wasn't this fluidity. It's kind of, are we all going to be, diminished to one gender, which is impossible. We're binary. We need men and women to make the babies to keep the species going. I don't know.
Well, and then I think when it comes to like identity issues, it's still, is it? I mean, I think this month is LGBT Pride, and so I think when it comes to certain situations, because I have such a background in like so many areas, I feel like a lot of the times they're either confused or they've been molested or they've been sexually abused in some way. And so they create some kind of fear of the opposite sex. And so they're more comfortable with someone else. They're more comfortable with their same, or they just don't know who they are because of that trauma that has happened in their life. A lot of the times that if you're part of the LGBT community, it definitely boils down to some kind of trauma. Not always, but it does. And whether that be, emotional trauma, physical trauma, there's just so many different types of trauma and, things that happen in people's lives and that they don't really understand or process it or learn how to process it. And so, when I speak to my clients, I always tell them, that's why you write your goals out by this day. I make them have a journal, and they probably don't like me for it, but that's what I'm here for. I need to make sure that their goals are being met. And if you don't write down your goals, then what are they? Do you have any? So, whether that be emotional, whether that be relational, whether that be in your business life, in your family life, like writing down your goals are very important. And so the LGBT community is something that I always include in our parenting summit. We had a man who his partner is a man as well. And even in Helping Hands with Hope, our book that we published, it was 6 ladies in different parts of the world and talking about hope. One of the ladies was a veteran in part of the Black community, and she's part of the LGBT community as well. And I read her story, and I feel like they're always excluded, and I did not want to exclude them. I wanted to include her because I feel like, there's a difference between inclusion and acceptance. Even though I have different beliefs, I respect them and I respect who they are in their journey. And so it goes against my religious beliefs, but I'm not going to judge them for that. And I'm not going to disrespect them for that. And so I like to include them because a lot of the times, I hate to say it, but most Christians, they do not include them or they borderline hate them and borderline, and the Bible says if you hate someone, it's like if you killed them. That's what the Bible says, guys. Look
Aysleth,
it up.
for me, I celebrate love. Okay, look, it's crazy enough to go through this, go through this life, traveling 90,000 miles an hour on this globe, falling through space by yourself. If you could find somebody that could put up with your nonsense, be it male or female, I don't know, I can't find love in a man, but that's just not me. That's not how I'm wired. I like the female form, but if you find somebody that can put up with you and wants to travel with you in this existence, hey, go for it. Go for it. I'll celebrate it. Yeah. I've even, I even enjoy the weddings, the lesbian, the gay weddings. I haven't been through one. I don't know, but I'm not against performing at this. It's not how I feel, but that's not my chemistry. That's not my journey. It's your journey.
Yeah.
I celebrate love.
To me, when it comes to certain things, like I just, I say what I believe in, who I believe in. And I don't judge people for that. But, when it comes to, the promise, in the Bible, the promise is the rainbow sign. And when Noah, for anybody that doesn't know, Noah's Ark, the rainbow was the sign of promise. And so if you haven't read the promises of God for your life, I definitely want to challenge you to do that, because that's how you can kind of understand who you are to him, and God doesn't break a promise. And so whether that be good or bad, whether that be, the one of them is to obey your parents if you want to live long, whether that be emotional life, physical life, spiritual life, there's a lot of forms of death. And if you look, the literal word of death means separation from God. And so, it says in the Bible, when you don't obey your parents, you don't live long, that's what it says. So for any kids out there, or even teens, that you don't honor your parents, and, so many people, they take honor differently. It's kind of like the 5 love languages. People accept and receive love differently. I want to do a Latino version of it, because I feel like our love language is food. Like literally, that's just one, nothing of, physical touch and, what is it? The quality time and gifts and food. Come on. I'm a Latina. Give me some tacos, give me some pupusas, give me some sopes. Like, that's definitely something.
How many Mexican
thing. Like,
how many Mexican restaurants here in Conway, Arkansas alone? And do we need another one? Yeah. If it's good, yeah, we'll take another one.
Hey, for anybody who's out there and is a Salvadorian, get your pupuseria ready, because I will be there and I will buy a lot of pupusas. Like pupusas, it's for anybody that doesn't know, it's like a flour tortilla that's a thick tortilla, and it has meat inside of it, or it has beans inside of it, or you can have cheese, or a vegetable in it. My mom makes them, and she lives in Russellville, and so I'm always like, if you ever come over here, just saying.
Wait, does your mom have a restaurant? Does your mom have a restaurant in Russellville?
So she doesn't have a restaurant, but she cooks a lot, and so she cooks for her friends and for families and things like that. She's cooked all her life, and so when in the summer internship, one of the interns is one of her cooking, because she's part of the nonprofit as well. And so one of the interns is her cooking intern, because she's going to sign a paper saying that, it's like culinary experience that she can, if that person wants to go into the fast food industry, which, that's $1 billion industry.
Hey, Russellville's only 45 minutes away. Mommy, I'm coming for dinner. Bang.
She's gonna be like, okay. She would say,
tell me what day. Tell me what
day.
What day, what time. Oh, that's beautiful. And that's,
she doesn't really ask that. She doesn't really ask when or what time. She just says, okay, aquí estoy.
That's true. I had no choice but to be fat. Yes, my metabolism makes me have a few extra lbs, but between my mom holding me down while my grandma fed me arroz con pollo and frijoles negros. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to run to get all this
So
weight off of
do
me.
Cubans not have something called like, casamiento or they don't have a word that's for beans and rice together?
Beans and rice, arroz con frijoles negro. Yeah, no,
Oh, okay, so you
I've
guys
heard of
separate them.
casamiento. Yeah, I've heard of that. But my goodness, yes, food brings us together.
Casamiento means marriage.
Yes,
In Nicaragua, they call it gallo pinto, which literally means painted rooster,
yes, I've
which I
heard
think
that
is
one too.
hilarious.
No, and there's so much culture here, so much to see in these United States. This big melting pot of ours. You really don't have to go around the world, but and we have so much culture here in Conway, Arkansas, in Central Arkansas.
We do.
People don't realize there's so much to see here. And you're becoming a tourist board member right now, giving advice on what to do, what to see, and how to help the community. You mentioned Coho briefly, the City of Hope Outreach. I've had Dr. Phil Fletcher on the podcast before, and the man falling into a city that had a need. I don't think he was going to camp out here. He just noticed, hey, this town has a need, and he provided that need. That's what you should do in your community, is help the people around you. Start local and then work your way out. That's what you're doing with the idiom, with the learning idiom and all the other endeavors that you're in. Zeledon Help LLC.
Yeah, I've had that like for about 3 or 4 years. So I started locally with my limited liability company, but nonprofit, I wanted to have fun. So I was like, let's do virtual. And it goes with my life a lot better. So that way I can travel. Because I've been to Miami twice. I've been to Boston for 5 weeks. I've been to New York twice. I've been to California. I haven't been to the Oregon area, but, I definitely want to go. And I definitely want to go see Lake Tahoe. Woo.
It's on your wish list.
Well, and we're going to have a learning idiom self-care retreat. And we're opening it to people who are not part of learning idioms. So if if you're interested in traveling, I know right now people think that we're going through a recession. Oh, look, there is my son. He wanted to join us.
Well, we're about to wind this thing down. I know Claudia Fountain was going to be on this, but perhaps we'll get her at a later time. But as we wind this thing down, are you putting videos out, teaching videos and learning videos, maybe on YouTube or TikTok or anything?
So I'm on TikTok. I'm on Clubhouse, of course, because we teach on Clubhouse. And if you don't know what Clubhouse is, it's a voice-only app that's social media as well. Now they have a chat, but you can disable it. I don't do that all the time, but sometimes I do because I need to focus on people's, words and help them with their accents sometimes. And so if they're typing it out, they just got to learn how to say it right. And so I encourage them to, so every Sunday we teach. Last Sunday we didn't because of Father's Day. So it's either on Zoom or on Clubhouse. You just have to get on our email list, and then literally you just learningidiomar@gmail.com. Just email us and we'll add you to that list. And we just send it out. But the easiest way to contact us is on Facebook, because we have so many groups on Facebook for the many things that we do. We have the Writers Masterclass group, or for people who want to be authors, who are writing, and learning how to write. We have a parenting group that is bilingual, both English and Spanish. We share both content in English and Spanish. We also post like scholarship stuff on there too for, the immigrant families, as well as, people who are not immigrants. And so and then we also have, the virtual vendor show. That one's my favorite because I get to support my local and, virtual small businesses. And so literally we just share on that page. I've shared your stuff a couple times, and I've shared a lot of people's stuff, a couple times, because why not, guys? Come on, be supportive. Give them a like, give that share, write a comment, be interactive. That's the whole point of social media. Why even be on social media if you're not going to be social.
Absolutely. That's the way you can
So
help somebody quickly. Put a share on there. You know, a like is
it's
nice,
free. It's
but
free,
yeah,
guys. It's free.
yeah, a like is nice, but a share is even better. It helps that person be found. I mean, it's like you're telling two friends, and then maybe they'll tell two friends, and so on. But you know, your link tree, that is pretty much, it says it all. Is there a website for you?
Right now, we just have the two link trees. We don't have a website right now, and it's because we have so many things going on that we didn't the workshops that we're doing, that we're preparing for, because of what we want to start doing is having workshops where people come, as part of fundraising, we want to have teach people how to do a dish. And so one of us teach people how to cook one dish, and they can pay for we'll have all the food set up, and they'll just learn from us how to cook one of the dishes that we teach them. And so I'm super excited for those workshops that are coming up. We don't have dates yet because right now it's probably going to be in the fall, because right now we're more focused on the summer internships and getting people published, and having young authors as well as teens become entrepreneurs and teach them how to make money instead of being bored and wasting their life away on a video game, or not just a video game, but unless you want to be a video gamer and want to be paid for that, then you're perfecting your skill. But think about your adult life. Like, if you want to learn how correct grammar, that's something that you'll always be able to use. If you go to an interview and you spell something wrong on your resume, I don't know if you're going to get it or not. That's something that, you need to think about. And so I'm just excited to be able to give back to the local community in a way that is going to not only help them, but prepare them for whatever that they're going to want. The Spanish one is already taken, and then the one that has not been taken yet, the one that I'm doing, is learning interview skills. That's the one that I kind of, people don't really know how to do that. So they don't have an interest there. They don't know how that can help them, I think. And the only reason why I did that one is because podcasting and interviewing is something that takes a lot of time from me. And so I want to teach someone to do that, so that when they become a podcaster, or when they become even just a regular person, learn how to ask a question correctly. Like, I think that's something that's very important that kids, they don't want to ask, and so I did that for a purpose, but they shy away from that. And so that's the only spot that I haven't filled in the three that I'm doing. So
I,
if you're one of those people, hit me up.
Aysleth
My
Zeledon, yes.
my social media is always my name and then the number one. So
Well, is it Aysleth Zeledon, or is it the Sachy Ice Queen, your nom de plume?
my stage name is Sachy Ice Queen. So if you look up either Sachy Ice Queen, I did publish a book with that name, so you'll find me that way too. Sachy Ice Queen, it's like my poet and stage name. So when I'm doing public speaking, depending on if it's a business thing or not, then I go by Sachy Ice Queen. If it's poetry and I'm gonna perform something, then it's Sachy Ice Queen. But Aysleth Zeledon is my professional name. So
Fantastic.
AYSLETHZELEDON #1.
Let's
You can
wind this
find me on
thing
all.
down so you can get back to your boy. Go ahead and give a few shout outs to people that have helped you along the way, and then give some last words for the people, and we'll get up out of here.
So I definitely want to shout out my parents. Even though it was Father's Day, my dad does not live here, but he lives in Nicaragua, and I still keep in touch with him. So if you're out there and you don't have a relationship with your dad or your mom, try to form one, because you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So shout out to my parents, and shout out to my sisters, all of my sisters and all of my brothers. And I definitely want to shout out New Life Church and the leadership, because I wouldn't be in this city if it wasn't for New Life Church and the amount of support that they have for anybody.
Where's that at? That's
And
the one on. Is that
anybody
the
that
one on
gets plugged in.
65?
So there's 17 locations in Arkansas of New Life Church.
No,
so
but the one that you
Daniel
go to,
Ramos.
the one that you go to, is that the one on 65?
I go to the Espanol, which is on Deer Street, 1105 Deer Street. Because I go there more than the English one because pues hablo español.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. You've given some shout outs. Now give some last words for the people. Words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Aysleth Zeledon.
This would be a good one. Kevin, show the shirt that you have. It says throw kindness like confetti. Make your world kind, a little bit more kinder. You know, whether that be loving people, whether that be embracing people, whether that be showing them some grace. Throw just like it says, throw kindness like confetti.
Well, there you have it, party people. Aysleth Zeledon. She is a person of the community. Learning Idiom is her nonprofit. It's a 501c3, and she has a Linktree. Zeledon Help. That's the place you ought to go to find all her social media. And wherever you're listening to this, it's probably down below, whether it be on YouTube or all of the other podcast areas. I'd like to put all the links that I can find in the show notes. So Aysleth Zeledon, I'm so happy to know you. You're a good person. You're a good person. And your faith has kept you grounded and kept you, on the straight path, on the path to where you are right now, helping people, helping other people. So whatever it takes to get you on that path, hey, do it. Okay? A lot of people, it's religion. It's their faith. It's their belief. And Aysleth, you're no different. That's fantastic. I commend you on your faith. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Thanks again, Aysleth Zeledon, for being on the program. Now, if you, yes, you, my loyal listener, I'm turning my attention to you. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.